Now it feels kind of like anything is up on the table.
Right? Like you gotta do the Spider-Man fully.
Hold it together.
Exactly.
What's up, guys? You guys are watching the Niisan podcast, although this time it's less of a podcast and more of a spoiler-free review. We just got back home from watching the new Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, which is going to close out. I don't know if it's a trilogy or not. We don't know.
It is. Well, currently this is a trilogy.
Yeah,
right? Like this is it's the third movie in the Tom Holland Spider-Man adventures.
And I think a lot of people were looking forward to this a lot because from the trailer, we got to see that, hey, this is the multiverse. Everything you knew about Spider-Man is now in play. And I think that's really exciting for Spider-Man fans, Marvel fans, in general. I
think the biggest thing about that, too, is like the last movie, if you aren't familiar, it's left off with where, like, hey, this Peter Parker has his identity revealed by Mysterio. And, you know, in that movie, they kind of teased a multiverse, but it ended up being fake because of it's all like a guise for Mysterio. However, you know, now it looks like this movie has that multiverse. So we were kind of like teased that earlier, but now we might actually get it. I don't know.
Yeah. So to give backgrounds on like us in general watching this movie, I'm a casual Marvel fan. I watched some of the original Spider-Man movies with what's his face, Tobey Maguire
in 2000.
I didn't watch the second trilogy, and now in the Holland series, I've watched like the Marvel movies, but I've only watched the first of the Spider-Man movies. So Crim had to give me the TLDR, the second one.
Yeah, and like I'm somewhat of a casual Marvel fan myself, you know, like so I have like the first appearance of Doctor Strange, you know, in Strange Tales 110. Love my Strange Academy, you know, like CGC graded. You know, just pretty casual about it all.
Get that dirt off your shoulder.
Yeah, that's all right, dude. You can't touch this, okay? But legitimately, I would say that this has been a very, very hyped thing for me. Just because this year, everything has kind of been slow for Marvel because lots of things, COVID pushed it all back. So this was like the big release of the year, right? This and Shang-Chi, I think, were like the biggest of the year for me. And I couldn't be happier. So this has got that trailer gave us everything we wanted or could ask for. So you saw like a ton of characters and stuff like that. So
well, let's go in and talk about it. Again, this is a spoiler-free review. Our job here is to convince you guys to go see it because I loved it.
I would say casually, it's like probably like a top 4 Marvel movie, not even like just like a Spider-Man movie. Like, and to give you a little bit more background on me, I actually think Spider-Man is a bit overrated. If you couldn't tell, I actually like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is what's planting my butt in any seat, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing here is, I think Marvel did a very good job of bringing Spider-Man to the movies. In the comic books, I wasn't huge on him. So for me to be this hyped for a movie, and it absolutely, I think it met my expectations and then some. It went above and beyond, for me at least, because I think it was just one of the most well-written, well-paced. It was a 3-hour movie that didn't feel like a 3-hour movie at all.
Yeah, I guess to summarize it a little bit, I felt like this was probably one of the more emotional Marvel movies in multiple different ways. Like this one, again, because of the multiverse sort of aspect to it, this one has a ton of like great fan service moments where you're like, like they call back to a lot of things over and over, which is very fun for even, you know, the most casual of Marvel movie watchers. And then on top of that, the story is just deeply emotional. Again, Tom Holland is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe because he's so good at portraying such an empathetic and relatable superhero.
I think he solves the issue that I had with the previous 2 Spider-Men. Like they were both good in their own rights, but like Peter Parker, you know, like Tobey Maguire was a great Peter, but a terrible Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's not a great Peter Parker, but an awesome Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So Tom Holland is the best of both worlds. And, you know, like as you saw in Avengers, like Infinity Wars, like he just improvised billions of scenes, did it so well. And I can't help but feel like he did the same here in this movie. Yeah.
Well, speaking of actors, who'd you say had like the best appearance in the movie?
By now, if you haven't seen the trailer, I guess this could come to you as a spoiler, but I feel...
I mean, you should have watched the trailer,
you
right?
probably have watched the trailer, so
you know... go watch the trailer
go watch that. Stop here, watch the trailer, and then come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so by now, okay, you did it? All right, cool. So you know Willem Dafoe is there. You know Alfred Molina Doc Ock, the Lizard's back, Jamie Foxx is back as Electro, right? And then you've got Sandman there, right? Thomas Hayden Church. They're all back. And this is just so cool as someone who it really also dates me because I'm like, I have the nostalgic factor seeing these villains. I'm like, I know you, Willem Dafoe. And like, I think this movie absolutely, like Marissa Tomei, everybody that Marvel casted is perfect. But I think the people that stole the show for me were absolutely Tom Holland, Willem Dafoe, and Doc Ock. I think these are the three that just absolutely blew me away. Every scene they were in, every bit of it, like it was just so heartfelt. It was perfect. Like Willem Dafoe did a great job of making you hate him. Like it's like Joffrey and like all these actors that just did such a good job of making you hate them that you're like, God, I want to punch your face, but in the most loving way possible because you did such a damn good job.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe just, again, wowed me this time around, and he lives up to his name, Willem Dafoe, not Willem Dafoe.
DeFriend, yeah. I love that joke so much every time, every meme of it.
He was incredible in the movie. I mean, like, he wasn't, like, necessarily a huge part of it, the way, like, because this one is so focused on Tom Holland in general and sort of his, like, journey as like Spider-Man, but also the kid Peter Parker. So obviously, I think Tom Holland did great, and I think Willem Dafoe was great.
And of course, Tom, like all the friends of Peter, like you have Zendaya, right, and then you have Ned. Everybody's just like they just nailed their scenes when they had them, and they made the most of it. And I think that's the main thing for me is because like there's so many actors, right? For those that have been around and like for a little bit older, there's been a previous Spider-Man 3, and that one struggled only trying to balance like 2 additional villains, right? This one has like 5 or like whatever, right? It's a non-zero amount, right?
Yeah.
And so the ability for them to get them all on the same page, get them all and like give them enough scene time. Every character, Doctor Strange is in this. I mean, like, I might like him. And so all these characters, every character was perfectly like utilized. It didn't feel like any of them were needless for the most part. But I think the only one was like the Lizard, but that's because like the Lizard just always felt like a useless character anyways. So
in a world where like people are controlling sand, electricity, and then he's like, I'm a lizard guy.
I can turn people into lizards. You need a lizard guy? I got you. Okay, thanks, man. That's great.
Yeah, no, I think that was one of the greatest things is that they really managed to pack in a lot. It's a long movie. It's almost 3 hours in length.
It didn't feel like it.
But they did a good job with pacing and giving the huge cast like enough time to really develop, I thought.
Yeah, fully.
Let's talk about the action sequences. I mean, it's a Marvel movie.
Well, not only is it a Marvel movie, but like I think the main thing here is like it's a Marvel movie with so many villains and so many things. It's got to be oozing with action. And I feel like oftentimes these movies, they have like a long lull point where it's like, oh, tragedy and backstory, right? But I felt like they perfectly wove in enough combat sequences and like action scenes in between every bit.
Yeah.
There was always something like to pick you right back up after, something like happens. And so I think they did a good job. The CGI looked good. My God, the Iron Spider suit is just something that I cannot stop gushing over. As someone who loved the Civil War comics, seeing that revealed, like this was big for me, dude. Like, and then just seeing it in the movies and then still seeing it again, I never get tired of it. And like the whole idea of like whatever the nano like whatever, the fact that they could essentially make his spider suit appear, because like of Tech Stark and Stark Tech.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the CGI actually, again, I say Marvel because they just continually have such a high standard for like amazing shots. There are some sequences that I was blown away by, featuring, I know, one of your favorite characters. But I think again it was very good. Let's talk about the greater Marvel, cinematic universe ramifications here, because like this movie, I mean, we've seen Into the Spider-Verse, but that hasn't like crossed over into like the more mainstream Marvel. Yet, especially now, because like this is the movie where now things are being pulled in from everywhere. Now it feels kind of like anything is up on the table.
Right? Like you gotta do the Spider-Man fully
pulled it together.
Exactly. Yeah, like this. every Marvel movie sets up another thing, right? It sets up, and this is one of the things whether you like that, if you hate the fact that, oh, well, this needs to be a standalone movie, don't worry, it does a good job of being its own movie.
Yes.
But on top, and that's the beauty of it, right? It sets up all these pieces, these movies and all that, while also just being good on its own. And I think one of the biggest things there is like this movie now, because like there's a multiverse, this opens up so many possibilities, right? Disney has just acquired so many rights, with that Disney dollary dues, you know what I mean? So with that, this is like how I think. Don't worry, we won't be spoiling anything, but here, just think about like how after you watch the movie and you see how everything kind of unfolds. This is easily how you can pull the X-Men, right? You pull Deadpool. You get all these like other Fox properties. You get some of like the Sony properties, right? I know there's a Morbius movie coming out.
Yeah.
And whether you've seen Venom 2, it's all starting to come together. And this, I feel like Shang-Chi was like, for me, what felt like the start of Phase 4, because it pretty much was. Black Widow was a prequel, right? And then you have all the Marvel shows in between. But like Spider-Man felt like this is like my Avengers team up movie. And it's setting up so many things. And without spoiling it, this is a huge part for numerous things, because there's a lot of spoilers, a lot of characters, lots of cameos, lots of things that were there that were tasteful, well done, and very much so. Like it didn't ruin the movie, Like I hate it when fan service just ruins a movie. It's like, ha. Well, this is very obviously for the fans, but it doesn't do anything to the plot point.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like if I was to, sort of sum up my thoughts on the movie, I think for diehard Spider-Man fans, they're going to love it more than anyone else. It's one of those movies where like, because the fan service is so well done, it's like the more you love Spider-Man, the more things you notice, the more you're going to love the movie. But at its very core, it's just a very competent, well done movie anyways. And so like this movie is kind of a home run swing, I think, where like I said, competent core, and then you just love it more based off of the cameos and kind of like nods to the other movies, the other, whatever. And so, I think this is probably one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. Definitely in my top 5, I think.
Yeah, definitely my top 5. Like, wait, what, like, if you want, I can start us off here, because I feel like this is my top 5. We can get into that in about a few seconds just to run off some numbers. But I think just right before we go into that, I gotta say though, I feel like I spent most of this movie sobbing.
This was like I said in the beginning, this is one of the most emotional Marvel movies where like, I think a lot of Marvel movies follow a very strict kind of like plot order to things. And so the emotional beats can feel a little contrived, I think.
Right.
But in this case, I thought, wow, I was like near tears were leaking out. We had to pass this guy a few napkins during the movie.
Dude, it's not that I was crying, man. As I said before, Mephisto was cutting onions in the goddamn theater, dude. I swear by it, dude. I see. We were in, was it a 4D theater? Because I swear I smelt onions. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was. I don't cry, dude. I am a emotionless steel.
Men can cry.
Goddamn
just cry.
sad,
just cry.
dude. It's so real. That's the problem. No, like this was amazing. So very, very excellent job, like a wonderful job. And I think the best part is the dialogue between all the characters. Again, I think it felt just like it wasn't like they were talking just at a wall. It was very much so like it felt organic. Every scene felt organic for the most part. There wasn't any dragging points where I'm like, oh, this feels like this is like filler, right? There's no filler arc in this movie. So huge fan of it. But so top 5 Marvel movies, right?
Top 5? Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, this is hard. We need to do a separate video on this. I feel like
we could we just quick run off, and then we'll go and do an in-depth video.
I can't rank them, but some of my favorites are this movie, Into the Spider-Verse. Does that count?
I guess that's like so cheap. No, the Into the Spider-Verse is amazing.
I love Black Panther. I love Shang-Chi, and I love the original Iron Man.
Yeah, like we're gonna leave out this team up movies, right? Because obviously that's unfair. I would choose Infinity War, Endgame every time. I love, dude. Like I
loved
love
Infinity War, Endgame. I was so.
You okay? You know what? you stop this right now. Okay?
That's what I say. We need another video to beat up each other on this.
Yeah. We will get to that. Oh man, really? Okay. You know what? Don't open that. Don't answer that. Okay. So I would go probably for me my top 5. I don't think I have them in an order either, but it'd be like Spider-Man: No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange, and then like probably Iron Man or Black Panther. Like those are like the 5 for me.
Yeah.
And like I know that I love Doctor Strange personally, so I'm a little bit biased. Is it the better movie between like Iron Man and Black Panther? Probably not, right? But the thing here is I just love Doctor Strange. I love the visuals of Doctor Strange. So yeah. And so for me to not love Spider-Man and to have like a Spider-Man movie in my top 5 Marvel movies is pretty major. So this just shows me that like, again, my faith in Marvel is like just endless because they have shown they know what they're doing. They love their properties, and for the most part, and I trust them. I trust them like to the ends of the earth to make at least an enjoyable blockbuster movie.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this outside of the theaters too, but like I was never a Spider-Man fan. Growing up, like I was like, Spider-Man's kind of the lamest one. Like, why would you cheer for Spider-Man when you have Wolverine? The guy's got metal claws. Like, what, you're a spider? He's a Wolverine.
Cool, man. Like cool wall crawling,
like,
dude.
Storm. Like, I mean, I liked X-Men as a kid, but it was one of those things where I just didn't get it. And then growing up now and seeing, especially the Tom Holland movies, where I think he portrays that sort of underdog Spider-Man mentality so well. I got to really enjoy it, and like it's so funny, like so many different things, like the Spider-Man like games that I've played too, and they make such a big deal out of his outfits that you can get and all this other stuff, and I didn't really get it, but like after now 20 years of Spider-Man stuff thrown onto theaters, I get it now. It took me 20 years to get it, but I get it now.
And like that was the thing that was really cool about all of that, right? Like you just get to see like his Iron Spider, his normal Spider suit, like so just everything was just really cool about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And it's a lot of like what Josh had mentioned here. It's just him. It's Peter Parker. And it's Tom Holland's Peter Parker that just gets all the emotion.
Yeah. So I guess to wrap it all up, if you were to give it a rating here, what would you rate it? And how many more times would you go see it in theaters?
I saw Endgame and Infinity Wars at least like 6 times each in theaters.
Okay.
And this movie, I'd probably watch this 3 times.
Yeah.
This was a very good movie. What is it? Phase 4, Phase 5? I don't know. Whatever phase we're in now. The post Avengers. This has got to be a haymaker of an entry. Between this and Shang-Chi, like these are both very good. So I'm giving this probably a 4.5 to 5. Actually, I'll give it a clean 5. I can't sit here and play like, oh, it wasn't that good or anything. But like straight up, I was crying my ass through that whole movie. So like that was just a really good movie. 5 out of 5, super solid. Watch it 3 times.
Yeah, I really have no complaints having watched the movie. There was nothing that really stood out to me as like being like, oh God, like why was that there or anything. I'll give it a 10 out of 10, 9.5 just to be safe. I don't know. That's just me being a scaredy cat. But I think it deserves that score, and I think it is just really good.
Right. And so you know what? God damn, Marvel. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
I mean, between this and Shang-Chi, like back to back, really just great movies, and I can't wait to see more.
You know, it feels like, it's really weird to say this, but it just feels like, it feels good that it feels like the movies are back whenever Marvel is like kind of like, it's weird. The cinephiles are more like, bro, there's so much Sundance stuff. Like, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, I know. I watch those too. Okay. But legit, it just feels good that every time there's a Marvel movie and it's just like, they have their formula, but they know their formula and it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's it. There's a quick reminder. There's actually 2 post-credit scenes, so
That's
sure when you guys go. Yeah,
that's more than one.
When you go out to see the theaters, be sure to watch past the first credit thing, and then there's a scene, and then there's like a black screen credits, and then another scene. So
right.
Sit in, watch the credits for a little bit, and enjoy the rest of it because it's cool.
Yeah, and then you could say it with like 100% like assurance that like we know. So you're good. Then you can look like extra like brilliant to your friends. And
if possible too, I would go see it earlier rather than later. I will say that the theater that we went to was electric, and there was a lot of just great like theater reactions. And some people might not like that, and I'm usually one of them. But I thought it was just so great.
The scenes were warranted.
Like you couldn't help but cheer.
Yeah, it just felt like example when in Avengers Endgame when everybody comes back. I can't say spoilers if you yell at us for spoilers. Come on. Right, but like when everybody comes back and Cap just stands there, and oh my God, the portal's open. Oh my God, dude, I'm getting chills right now thinking about that. And then Cap just says Avengers, and then that was so good. Okay. Anyways, yeah.
So, anyways, this is our review of the newest Spider-Man movie. Go watch it now, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.
Peace out.